Aquarius 6, performer in a mystery play. A long time ago, mystery plays were known to be mysterious. The actors knew that when they took on a certain role, then they would be the embodiment of some archetype. They would act out mythological beings. The stories that are written in Greek mythology and even older stories were frequently acted out by way of keeping the culture alive, teaching the children, as well as entertainment. But it was certainly not only, it was understood not to be only entertainment. History would have been taught through mystery plays also. The general population would have been educated on the nature of current affairs through plays. And when we tune into anything creatively, we awaken in ourselves access to the muse. The muse is a name given to a higher form of, within ourselves, of inspired creativity. And at that level of consciousness, we form a resonance with the archetypes. And the archetypes can be named as certain historical figures very often. So Rasputin is a certain archetype, and Henry VIII is another archetype. So you've got the ability that we have to move up a dimension. If we can create a role model and act as though we are that person. We see it first on the stage with the actors doing exactly that for us, but then we do it ourselves. We tend to copy what we find admirable, and we admire the actors, and then we copy their behavior. We speak in a way that they speak perhaps, and we become more and more the embodiment within ourselves of the higher consciousness that they were embodying. Now, not everyone has had the experience of seeing this in action, somebody who actually embodies another. I've taken part in a seance where very powerful mediums were doing exactly that. Before I went, I was very doubtful, very cynical, or skeptical at least. But when I actually saw what happened, I was convinced something mysterious had taken place in front of my eyes. Something I knew to be impossible before became really obvious in the moment. So my friend Eric was a medium, and he was a very humble man. He allowed the spirits to come through him, and they were really inspiring, really powerful, really clear and intelligent beings, much higher than Eric's ability to be those things, really much, much higher. I knew Eric very well, and he did not have the qualities of these beings. So I've seen it. It happens, and I've seen it not only in that context of a well-defined seance. I've seen it when individuals do something, when they lose their sense of self. I think that's important. When we're trying to actually tune into these higher energies, the energies of inspiration and knowledge, we're not going to be very good at doing that if we hold on to a sense of self-importance or critical reception. We have to be quite naive, allow it through us, to trust the process. Now, trusting that process has its dangers, and we must be a little bit forewarned here that when you allow another entity to speak through you, you'd rather like it to leave afterwards. And there are some exceptional cases, very rare indeed, when that doesn't happen. When the person who is trying to do this cannot hold the boundaries necessary to prevent too much intimacy. So if you find yourself in a position where some non-real or disembodied spirit is actually acting through you, that's okay. That's okay. But it's not okay to let go totally. There must be a part of you that holds on to I am. What's happening is happening through me. What's happening is using my personality and my body for the time being, but I am. And as long as you remember that, you're relatively safe. I think it's also important to build up the best version of I am that you can. So for me, that includes sacred ritual. I would hold myself in a very strong position of faith and self-discipline before I engaged with this process. And I have engaged with this process with mixed results. There have been 2 occasions when the results went a little bit bad on me. I'll speak of them. One was when I was wearing a papier-mâché head mask, a full head mask of a unicorn. And I spent a lot of time studying what unicorns mean mythologically. And I was dancing and feeling that innocent, joyful, playful aspect of the unicorn. But I was attacked. I was hit with stones and sticks by a bunch of children that were on the same camp where I was doing this. It was extraordinary. The truth is that for me to get into that state where I could get a sense of unicorn consciousness, I'd let down all of my boundaries and I became vulnerable. And vulnerability is an aspect of what attracts violence against you. So that was a warning. And I came across the same thing later when I was using sort of chanting of actually old Viking, the names of the Viking gods. The runes, I was studying the rune stones and using sound to do that. And because I used to do this a lot with other mantra. So I took a risk in the sense of seeing whether it worked for the rune stones. And I became aware that I was well out of my depth. And I'd invoked some very dark goddess who wasn't good for me, really. And I felt bad. I had to throw it all away. I had to refuse it loudly and dramatically for me to be clear of the energy. I think you have to be a little bit careful about possession when you're working with this area of mysticism. And of course we're talking about a mystery play here, but all the world's a stage. We're all players. We're talking about life. Life is a mystery play, really. It's not different from a mystery play in any way. So we're dealing with situations that are archetypal situations. We all have to find a way to get money from the boss, so we've got this working ritual, and then we have to pay some of it in tax, so we've got this filling out the tax return ritual, and then we have to share it with people, so we've got this how much do you want, how much do I keep, kind of thing going on, and all of this is going on for all of us all of the time. And what we have to learn is what we choose as a role within each of those interactions. So if your involvement with the tax office is like, I'm an honest person, you can trust me, I pay my taxes, then you have to know how to embody that state of a responsible citizen. If you're at a children's party and you're trying to get the children to have a memorable and beautiful experience, then you need to be fun, you need to be light-hearted, you need to be willing to be climbed over and abused a little bit in the spirit of playful fun. and you know, you might want to focus on the archetype of Santa Claus or a circus clown or you know, and actually find that way of being. And every situation has got its own need.